One busy night, the world's greatest assassin was on an organization mission. The important thing is that he finished his work professionally as usual and set off to his destination, but due to his old age, he decided that he was retiring from his job as an assassin and working in teaching, but the organization did not like it. The first time they learned of the news of his retirement, they decided that they would kill him, and in order to know what to do, they waited for someone. When he boarded the return plane and took off in the air, then they blew it up and died he, and everyone in it. But after his death, as in my God himself, in a strange place, I appeared alone in front of him, and told him that you are now dead and have two choices. The first option is that you are born in the same world without memories as a new person, and the second option is that you are born in a new world with the same memories. But if you choose the second option, then you will have the advantage. Therefore you must fulfill the request. Man, I'm her. Okay, who do you want me to kill? She told him, well, that you know that I want you to kill the new world champion. The man, I do not agree, but I must know the first reason. She told him, look, uncle, after a boy is 14 years older, Demon Lord, and this hero kills him, but then something strange happens and it destroys the world, and I want you to kill him before he destroys the world. He told her, okay. I knew the whole history of the new world, but the man said to her now, as a very weak human being, how can I defeat the hero who can defeat the devil? She told him, look, I will let you choose your abilities as you want, a maximum of 5. This is the maximum limit for the average person. Instead of taking one magical advantage, you will take all 4 of them. As a help from me, uncle, you will be born with a family specialized in the dead to help you train. After 18 years, you must kill the abdomen. The man told her, fine. Indeed, Lug was born into a family of professional killers, whose mother's name is Isri, and his father's name is Keon, and their family's name is the Tua family. After 7 years of being Lug, he began to strengthen himself, and train to overthrow the hero, and he ate healthy food every day that contained proteins to help his body grow, and so on. The child loves him very much, and the family is happy, and he explained that it is like any normal family, but this is a family of assassins, teacher. After they finish eating you, uncle, he takes a language to the training room, examines his body, trains him, and sees signs of his growth. This is of course because the family has a lot of experience in the field of medicine. The important thing is that after examining his body, the father says that you are ready. This is the time to take a family from 2. These eyes have the ability to see the barrier and very distant objects, and their features are very, very many. This is of course the most possible thing that the assassin may need. He performs the operation, and the operation succeeds. After several days, he opens his eye and is shocked by its strength, and is able to see long distances very clearly. No, it's not. That's it. Does this make you know whether the person in front of you has magic or not? His magical energy too. He's pleased for him with his new intention, and he mentions before his magic coach, he is training him. He's glad as he will finally learn magic. His mother is preparing for him. She dressed him in girl's clothes to see his teachers. She, called Ordinary, will be one of the 5 most powerful witches in Swiffle. After the welcome, he knows his language, and when Diab disables it, Laura leaves Fal's stone to measure its magical power. Crystal's energy wide, I was fascinated by. She still hasn't finished her words, and the crystal clicks a little and then it explodes. The first time you see this, it releases a particle that removes the crystal from its body and removes it in the atmosphere. It explodes and makes an explosion similar to this nuclear bomb. At that time, she was very afraid of what happened, and the Lago family would come and be very happy. One of the great language skills, and you are surprised by them like this. But you go beyond the topic, and the next day you go there with the language to see its magical qualities. The girl is very impressed after she finds the 4 features with it and does not have a problem with it. They really see it as something that cannot be exported. For her she learns, and this is magic and beauty. They make. He learns the language of magic in seconds. Imagine the subject in doing this. No, by God, after they returned to the house, they said, I wish we could do this for a long time. He told her that he would come to visit me every once in a while. He told her that he would come to visit me every once in a while. He told her that he would come to visit me every once in a while. He told her, I wish we could do this for a long time. He also told her that when I saw you, the second girl was very happy, and he told her that he would come and visit me every once in a while. He said to her, and I sat her down like this. The minute said goodbye to him, and then she returned to her kingdom. And the second day he said goodbye to him, and then she returned to her kingdom. And after she went, Kayan took a language to teach and teach. He took his father to prison so that they could teach murder, its basics, and prison, when they were going to be stubborn, would be a prison designated for all those who were sentenced to death, so that experiments could be carried out on them, and teaching murder and other things. The important thing was that he entered prison only. The language is weak, and we say you did not kill. The person in front of me, he said, look, uncle, you are not anyone who tells you to kill someone. The first must follow your instinct. You know that this person is a criminal, and you are sure that he will deserve to be killed. He did A. Otherwise, you will become an accessory to murder, nothing else. He said to him, "Cream," and entered the prisoner because Abukala, before you, he will do what you want to follow her and commit all the crimes she did. The girl kept acting about things that he wouldn't kill, but who are you fooling my daughter? Why would an idiot cut off her hands like that? By saying, "Don't worry a little, you'll die from the girl's bleeding." Then she reveals he killed you and your father and won't forgive you, and she turns to unrest, so she dies. The next day, his family's mine. He stayed in the market, and his family turned out to be the governor of Altua province, monitoring sales, etc. But at that time he was looking for anyone with magical energy to help with training. But unfortunately, I did not find anyone. Even if at that time he had 10 years and only 8 years left on the hero's back, the important thing is that the language repeats this to them, that he goes out to catch anything for them, and at once he trains and actually sets off to his destination. But the first time he arrived in the forest, he saw a group of wolves. He attacked an injured and emaciated girl, and before they killed her, he went down and finished with all the wolves alone, and the girl was very weak. For a moment, Lug's physical strength, and the strength of his body language, was in continuous development, and this is, of course, because of the speed of growth he had taken before. The important thing is, the girl on why she's here. She tells the girl that it is because winter is here, and there is no food for the family. They kicked me out of the house to provide some food in a perfect language, and he made food for her because the girl ate and the world was fine. She has a language that we are starting to rule the region where you are now, and I need you with me. The girl was very happy, and I mean it. She agreed to go with him. Of course, this is because the first time someone tells her that he needs her, but he doesn't say that because she is weak and needs something. He said this to her to discover that she has magical energy and will help him exercise. The important thing is to take her home. 2 years passed because he was 12 years old, and he was 6 years old before the battle. The girl has grown up and is beautiful and becomes a maid if she goes with him everywhere and does everything. But you did not learn a language that taught you to fight and became proficient in using the spear. As for the spear, it is large and useless to be used as a weapon in assassination. If she made a spear like that, it would be useful to hide it and use it in the assassination. The girl was very happy after she found out that she was helping the person who needed her last, and the second day, a door would go to bad for her in order to monitor the citizens of the province. He returns home, and she admires the language and loves him. An entity asks him to the exercise room because it doubted her nature, seeing her as a spy coming to spy on To's family and steal skills. But after observing her for 2 years, Kamal confirmed her innocence and hard work. Father said, "Thank God we will not kill her. He had a problem that now she's grown. He still has her." You must take 2 tests to be officially recognized in the To family. Indeed, a language has agreed to the first test, and the test is that his competition is between an entity and an attempt to defeat it. And this, of course, without the use of any evening. Using only assassination methods, the battle began between the 2, each taking his place in the forest to attempt to assassinate the other. The father was a grandfather yesterday, and they estimated that he would break his leg for him. But they estimated that he would distance himself from him and heal himself, and he began to concentrate after that. With great difficulty, they estimated that he would win over his father. Then he began an entity. In the wounds of the language that he suffered during the conflict, and how very proud he is that because he defeated the strongest one who acted, which is an entity, and they say that your future is very bright in assassination, and an entity as well. They say, now you are no longer accustomed to anything. I can teach it to you more. You now need experience, nothing more. In fact, I'm going to tell him about my father's suffering for killing some of the spoilers from the countries, and for a very rigid stupidity. And then they are going to an Arabic like this. Once he used to tell me the time, I will tell you about the last test. I tell him that the house of any noble person will be reinforced with guards. Enter him or take information from him. You must learn other professions such as cooking, playing the piano, and others. This, of course, is so that you can enter the house without anyone suspecting you. That's why your last test is that you are a merchant, and this, of course, will ease your job of assassination because you possess a lot of information if you are able to deal with the nobles in trade, which is fine. But how do I go? Or how is this a merchant? He said to him, I was having a conversation with the largest merchant in the city of Melto during your birth, and a birth certificate for a son of mine named Elig Bauer was forged. You will go there in the form of Elig Borda, and even if you have it, whoever will know him, the pilgrim will take him to his harvest. Okay, uncle. Indeed, he had returned home and held a celebration on the occasion of Lag's arrival for the final exam when he was still 12 years old, and said that he would remain the head of Toha's family after him. Everyone was very happy with the celebrations and amazed that he had given birth to one named Rana. He objected to Shanao's remaining the head of the family, and objected to Lug at this time. His heels were prominent between the two, and he won the language of nature. In seconds, the boy moved like this, and explained that he passed, and then he walked, but the language left him after the party, and he asked him to be a knight. He was shown the comments of what they were in the family after he assumed leadership in the future. The boy was very happy and agreed to the offer, and the language of his holiday was a sword like this as a gift in return. And they said that the sword will suit you more than a knife, my friend. The important thing is that the next day he prepares each of the language he raised to go to his village by saying goodbye to the family, and then they will just walk here. And after he arrived at his village, he and sometimes he denied each of them because no one knew them. He died a month of brown and said officially, I am a port merchant in the next 2 years. Countries, and on the other hand, he was in a group of young people. They have no job or place to stay. They were looking for any permissible job so that they would not need anyone. And Hayden was very miserable until she gave their daughter her own self. She entered them and helped them, and they began to be themselves. But the truth may be unjust at times, my friend. While they are sitting in safety, may God count the money that was given to her. Today, a group of thieves appear on them to kidnap them. The girl Maha has magical energy and was able to run away from them, but in the end, they caught them all and took them to a house like this and put them there. They told them that this will be your home from here and away. Anyone who won't hear the words or will try to escape, he will be punished severely. The girls came in and said, what's going to happen to us now? We still didn't believe it. Our lives began to adjust, but all of this was scattered in seconds. What do you think he will do to us? It turns out that the thieves intend to keep them in the place all day long. They let people watch them at night and then take them to the homes of the rich in order to entertain them and satisfy their desires. After a while, the girls no longer know how to bear what happens to them. One of them is distorted and stigmatized because no one chooses her anymore. It is a difficult and painful life in all aspects, and one time she hears Maha, the head of the gang, talking about her, saying that she has grown up and we must show her to people. She is also Maha now, or when she hears these words, she goes and goes because her face becomes ugly and she remains lonely in anyone's eyes. Look, I grabbed the transporter and that's it, she will hurt her face, but suddenly she hears a voice from behind her telling her that tears are not suitable for you. You look at it and look, and then there is the language, people. You were in me, my son, and I left them wasting all of this. It turned out that the language was there so that some of them could help him in trade. The important thing is that he knows that Maha has magical energy and he chose her to pay her money, and that's it, she would take it. But the gang leader was greedy for her. He told him, no, I will not know. I will give it to you now, and you must wait 3 days and then come and take her. Maha knew that this would not happen and was terrified and unable to speak. He will tell him to take me with you. She can't speak. A language agrees with his words but says he paid for it, and this is the time from my family. If something happens, it won't go well. The man agreed, ready to sell her to a customer. The girl and her friend prepared and said, I'm happy for you to walk away from here. Maha's bayat, I will hug his daughter, and they hugged, writing Maha's Arab with the merchant and saying, I wanted to go with you last time. I don't hear anyone doing anything with me before I go with you. You eat, and you get out of the car, trying to run, but the man with her came out using magic. He also grabs Maha and tries to hurt her. Maha is crying, and she doesn't know what to do, and he stops the moment Talkura arrives. Yes, he arrived, guys, holding his hand and saying to him, didn't I tell you not to touch anyone in my family? He hurts him with joy and says to her, don't worry, that's it, I'll be fine. The gang leader comes and stops the man and attacks him, but you are defeated, my son, and we will come to reckoning time. You take turns, they beat him disgracefully. Let me. The police arrest them and return to the rest of the girls, and liberate them where they are. The girls are very happy, even if they also treat the girl who was deformed, and she comes back better than the first. It is also easy on the other. Beauty, beauty, guys. After a while, Gu will perform an operation on Bawar's son, the merchant, who is supposed to be his son now, and he will tell him, the merchant has defeated me, that he will not tell anyone that he performed this operation on him, even if the person included him so that there would be no problems with him. I thank the merchant language for the process, and I tell him that you are beautiful to me. Maha's papers have been completed in adoption, and now she is like the language's sister. The second day I tell Bauer to language that he had a store open in the area here, but unfortunately the store failed, and that he wants Lug to open the store, because he is Zaki, and he will be able to bring the customers, and Laga agrees to his idea because he knows that this issue will help him in the assassination. And when Laga returns home, it will be Maha and his team will be waiting for him, and it will be clear to the two that they will love Laga very much, and he knows what happened here, and that it is a cosmetics store here. So Maha tells him that there are many beauty stores here in the city of Milto, and it is difficult for you to know how to open something, but Laga has a plan for everything. The next day, I go to Bauer and his wife, and the one who is the language maker is illegal. The next day, I go to Bauer and his wife, who is the language maker, so he and his wife will go to Bauer, so he and his wife will go to Bauer, so they will go to Bauer, so they will go to Bauer. He tells Bauer he needs a month to get the place ready, and because no one can discover how to make the moisturizer, he will deal with the products with the province of Tawa, which is a different country from his own, and therefore no one can enter it and steal the recipe. So the merchant agrees to his words, and after a week, he goes to the language of Tawa and brings the gardeners from which they make the moisturizer, and they open a beauty shop. He did, and his wife is the most famous people in the region, and Maha employs the girls with her in the place, and they become very happy, and their future is secure, and he is also happy, because after the success of the princesses, the wives of the nobles, he continued to talk to him all the time. This is the issue that makes it easier for any royal or noble person to enter the palace, so that if he wants to, they will be assassinated after that. Since the company belongs to a language, some spies try to kidnap a language and find out the secret of the moisturizer from him, but you can be satisfied even though they arrest the spy and take him and torture him, until the man he hates the day he saw them in, and every month he goes to her and has an affair with her, and this is because he promised her that, and sometimes she feels alone on this day of the month after he walks away, and when he arrives, she will be very happy and happy. Chocolate logs, and the needs of those who make them disrupted. And this will be. I discovered some new compensations to help Lug in his work, including the compensation for the absence of falsehood, which amazes a language very much because it is planned for great needs ahead and makes today's language hostile to the end. As the love between the two grows more and more, he says goodbye to her tomorrow and tells her that he will come to her next month, and it is clear to her that she is so upset, and she tells him that she is waiting for him, and he ends the day like this. The next day, the children remain Maha's friends, walking alone at night, cursing two thieves who attack them to kidnap him. What, guys? And there is no one else or what? But this time Maha became strong, and she was able to catch up with the girls and hit the criminals, and she said to them, "If any of you comes close to them again, I will not have mercy on him, and the day will end like this, and he will have some trouble to train for assassination, and let Maha manage trade matters so that he can benefit from everything." To its maximum extent, she arranges to return from her training, and she brings him the buttons of the people she killed, and he will be very happy about it. He tells her that people called her the high-speed fighting virgin. The girl moves like that, and you say, "Don't say that, uncle," and he will have an end. As a merchant, his reputation grew throughout the neighboring cities, and there is no longer a nobleman or ruler who does not know about the Boer Beauty Company. The important thing is that he repeats the language that he will return to Toe, and leave all the work in Maha's hands, finish the rest of the paper with her, and tell her everything the girl would need. The girl showed confidence in her and decided to expand. In the work, Lagma did not offer it, and he told her that the most important thing is the results. Maha's friends come and give him a gift from them. Because of all the good things he did for them, Lag happily takes it and thanks them for it. The next day, he goes to his plane so that they can return him immediately. They say goodbye to her and get divorced. They are running like this on the road against a little magical wolf. Tertu stayed. This is the time that she is attacking them, and she has the strength and experience in fighting. In fact, she believed that she would defeat them all with a hum like that, and he said to her, "Shatra, my plane." But at this time Lug is saying in secret that the demonic spirit has appeared, and the figure of the hero is about to appear, and there are signs of seriousness on his face. At this time, he is 14 years old. The important thing is that they return home and meet some farmers on the road, and they are very happy to return to the country's language and give gifts as well. He delivers a language to the home and welcomes them with all medicine and tenderness, and you say to your father, waiting for you inside, he enters his father and welcomes you back to the country. But his father tells him that you are now a man. If only I had given you the basis that you would learn trade, but you did not enter that you would succeed, success, and this dazzle. I am really proud of you, but the father is saying it in a language. I wanted to tell you something. Now you are still young and have not entered the field of assassination. I still want you to turn on the right path and work on anything to carry out assassination. What about you, son? He said. Did you succeed in business? Is it? And there are many other things that you can do with something like this? He said to him. What are you saying, uncle? I did all this to make my assassination mission easier, nothing more, and I will tell you something too. The first reason is that I protect all the people in the city here, and the people I love, and don't let anything happen to them. And the second reason, frankly, is because I love a minute and want to marry her. If I remain a merchant, it will not be useful for me to marry the girl I was, because I will not be from the Nabila family, and so on. The father laughed like that and said to him, "That's it, be the best psychopath, uncle." And he gave him his first mission, which is to kill a man who works in intelligence for the state. But it became clear recently that he sells drugs and intoxicants to the people of the city, and the soldiers are very expensive. After Lagoa took the mission to me, he decided to check for himself whether the wanted man was worth killing or not. The first thing he knew about his target was so that she could prepare and make her account, and the second thing he wrote a message to her to provide them with a way to enter the count's palace, and I sent it to her via a bath like this, meaning through the encrypted message, and no one else would understand it. The second day, they talked and talked. They headed to the county of this count to monitor the conditions of the people, and to make sure they spoke for themselves. They entered the city and saw soldiers in a miserable state. They continued walking inside the capital, and suddenly if a girl sold drugs in the form of grape juice to him after he knew that it was not juice, he broke the can and threw it away. The men came in distributing drugs and became fanatical, but a language that they did their duty with them. The little girl used to cry because of the language and the highest needs, and her mother said, my mother, the language." When she heard it, I went to see her mother. When she heard it, I went to see her mother, and it turned out that Maya also became addicted because of the trouble she was taking, and this was a language that helped her sleep like this, and then he hung it up, and this was a language that helped her sleep like this, and then he hung it up, and this was a language that made her feel like she was distributing drugs, and this was a language that made sure that the one who was distributing drugs, and that was a language that made sure that he was distributing drugs, and that was a language that made her feel like she was distributing drugs, and that was a language that made her feel, and indeed. On the second day, he went to the house of Alkunt. It was clear to her that it was her oi monster. What we have to. The important thing is that they arrive at the Count's house, greet his wife by entering the air, and the humidifier disables her on the basis that it is a new humidifier, and it is the first unit he uses and so on. They spend the day there and find out what they want, and they walk the next day. He prepares his language for the sake of elimination. He remains on a language that says, according to his wife's words. He goes out to drink and watch the moon while he goes out to equip the snipers and puts the bullet in it to determine the specific location of the Count and what he eliminates him. Thus, the first important thing is that the language was completed and successfully, but the language after he saw the wife of the one I was crying. His death was good, and you insist on that from what happened, but you flew away. Softened it. You lucky son. Of course, he returned home. After a while, we found him sitting on an isolated island. The period is his period. I mean, this is of course for a reason that we will know in the future. The important thing is that he finishes what he is doing and comes back to meet Maha and learn about the developments from her in his absence. He writes it in Arabic and says it on the existing imperial weapon, and this is of course what will help. Language defeats the hero, and that is why he needs it. But she says that this weapon is with someone named Senta, and this is what is likely to be the hero. At this time, he thought for a while and said to her, "Okay, what is the other news?" She said that the war is between the kingdom of Swigel and some of its people, and this of course threatened the ruling family very much, and they do not know how to do anything to play like this because this family is the rulers of this region. Imagine the issue. They will do no. By God, do you tell him to help with this revolution? He is the Suna who has the imperial weapon. Does this look like it, or is it liberated? After he knows how to speak, he goes to his family to know more about her. The girl was very happy with his men, but Lug wanted to know if she was good or not. And he offered to her that he would run away with her and the family if they had problems, but she did not agree to this and said to him, "Come with us, God. Let's get out the language." He didn't know how to convince her, and they left. She dyed her hair. No one knows her, and they walk down the street. But if he felt something strange and he didn't say it to the people here in the city, he felt that they were all soldiers and not ordinary people. "This," she said to him, "No, uncle, he is preparing for you. He is preparing for you." And she tweeted at him so that he would not know more. The important thing is that they went to wander around the city and eat, and the world is still. They are not finished. Today, Wadi promised a language that she would still come home to them if he left the city while he was assured of his family. But after he left the city, her hair color returned, and she said, "While I was crying, goodbye, Luo." It became clear that all the people in the city and a soldier did, and her appearance would be sad now. The important thing is that after a while, the spoils under the tree come to him. He was quickly expelled while she was playing and telling the truth. He was in an emergency. He ran to see what was going on as soon as he entered without someone injured in front of him and bleeding from all over. He used to say that Lug is on a new mission to kill you, and what is required in the mission is this, because Lugba is very terrifying, and he is at the forefront. This led to international problems. His father said it did, but it was not state orders. It resulted from personal feelings. Explain to me everything. He said this family waged a war, lost, and the Count elicited talk. Much of his land is rich, but because of the greed of some nobles for ransom, because she has great magical powers, some nobles decided that they would marry her so that she would bring him a strong successor. And of course she agreed, but the people, out of their love for this family, refused to talk about this, and boarded the envoys who were going to take this. As a result, war broke out between them, and there was no word for it. I mean, you want her to kill this time, so that this conflict can stop and the world can calm down. He kept telling him, "No, not exactly like that. I want you to pretend that you assassinated her and call her killing and then bring her here, and thus the war will end amicably. The language will not die." He said it was a good idea, and I agree with it. Abu said to him, "What is the West Bank that made you accept this mission?" Language? He told him the first thing is because she taught me magic, and I am indebted to her. The second reason is because I love her, and the third reason is because I promised her, if she was in trouble, I would go and help her. Abu told him that it was okay, and by saying it was an entity, imagine that I also met with a mission like this before, and this was all for the sake of the truth that she is getting married. Nabil, also, she means from the other like this. This cub is from Zack the lion. Is this time a language for this truth? As I say to his mother, he is a family of frankness. The important thing is that he prepares a language so that he can walk and go, so that they can step up in saving his magical energy. It creates a wind vortex with its energy, and pulls a gas into it. This vortex tightens the tongue, and prevents resistance to the wind. Why? I mean, on the other hand, it is as if she is Shayla and she is getting organized. She does this to help the only person in the world who told her that he needs her feelings. You have come to know that she delivers a language of more than 200 kilograms, which is more than 3/4 of the distance. The important thing is to say goodbye to her logo, and say that he will return, God willing. And he continues running at his maximum speed, and he says, this. He arrives there, and leads those in front of him. An army consisting of more than 1,500 besieged knights, who broke a family. Be surprised to sleep. He endured the entire period, but after seeing the enemies, he discovers that he used the girls he taught her and attacked with him and disrupted them for all this time. The important thing for him is that he begins to kill magic users in the army in order to weaken the strength. The soldiers are terrified, and everyone is in a state of chaos. Lugba takes advantage of the chaos in army gatherings and deletes them. He takes advantage of the chaos in army gatherings and deletes them with explosives, explosions on the right, and deletes them. He uses them with explosives, explosions on the right, and explodes. And the soldiers, my eyes, they do not know how to... And there will be distress at the top of the hour after a very, very touching moment arrives, frankly, by taking her for a nap, embracing him and saying that she was saved. Assassinate you. Tell him yes, and he tells him, I can't believe you came, but he lived on you. By God, Lug asks her father and says to him, do you know what to do to find out from here? Father, by saying I am the sweetest one to lose and run away from war. But if I were alone in the language of cream, look, you would do exactly as I tell you so that we could get rid of tonight. She said to him, okay, Pasha, the body of the girl he took from the war turned out. Is this his daughter? The boy? God knows. The important thing is that people look. Girl, you will open up. And you vote and say, I will not bear anyone else to die because of me. And then we will be fond of the place and people will think of you. She committed suicide. She told him, this is fine, man. Indeed, she opened the window and was ready to vote, but suddenly Locke felt a serious need coming to her. He did so by attacking them with his imperial weapon, and they attacked a need against him, but he is not short. But he knows his language that he will catch up with this, and then the imperial weapon will fly in the air for a nerve, and he will prepare the cannon to hit the center. He says to me, close your eyes and open your horn, we will hit with the cannon, and it will explode its ear in the place around it while it is still empty. Kalashanir Simudam Habib Tubila Santabinda to him, and I said to him firmly, I swear I liked it, and I shouted a cent more and told him that if you had not come and confronted me, I would kidnap your girl, time for her father and their entire country, and her tears would be controlled. The language says in his country that it looks like it will turn into a massacre for a ready idiot, giant day bullet and fly it in the air and we'll know why. After a while he says, she must come with me and we will finish this friendship. You tell him to be better than him, right? For stupidity, I said, the last of which was fixed for 10 seconds. Don't you see how I work? Does this mean you will lose? He said that if I face him, I will lose, but I don't need to face him. They were assassinated. He confronts the son, excited. A language acknowledges he will lose, asking for his name to remember him. He mentions Fiari Santa. He tells him, flying Fiari. They return, preparing for the battle with Fiari, descending to earth, deleting the language in the air. Santa Biggs is excited for 20 days about the meaninglessness of 321 in his mind, and a rocket will descend and blow up his year and everyone around him. What happened? Come and breathe. After he has mastered the lack of gravity and directed the polluting bullets to work them into space and ready them to fall on Santa's place, and so that he knows how to let it land exactly on his place. Her face was by the magic of the wind, and she was trained on the island, what she perfumed, so that she would fall on the target exactly. He calculated the time it would take and kept laughing at Santa until I chose it, and thus Ascent died. All if they were the hero's thinkers. It would be a dirty language, one of the effects of bullets falling. Do you miss saying, are you okay, my love? So God said to me, does this mean that I swear? Okay, property and say from today, are you mine? So you say yes to him? They return to their home and meet a mother, and he brought it with him. The mother will be happy and welcomes him, and everyone will be happy just to have him back. Until here, the anime ends. If you like it, don't forget to like and subscribe, my friend. May the best peace be upon you, Raya.